to enjoy. Now, if you start tampering with the Constitution, so that you start taking away certain of those rights, which, by the way, we agreed to in 1995 through our representatives when
the 1995
Constitution. Surely, we have a right to, the citizens have got a right to come up and express their disquiet. So, I think that there are other ways of political discourse other than using the law to oppress people that are expressing, opposing views.
Right. And of course somebody has spoken about the rule of law and the rule by the law. In other words, using the law opportunistically.
Yeah.
So you basically are saying the president is targeting a narrow group of people, most likely dissenters, rioters, people call rioters, demonstrators, and is bringing the other groups, murder, economic sabotage, suspects, defilement and rape, as a package to make it look better, sweet quoting.
Yeah. The thing is that, and here is where I've got to be, I've got to be a little careful with my words here, because thus far, I've been talking about the rights of the
suspect,
of the individual.
The individual?
Yes, of the individual, of the suspect, so to speak. But that has also got to be counterbalanced with the fact that the state is entitled to
maintaining law and order,
to maintain the law and order
and protect innocent people.
And protect the innocent people. On the other hand, okay. But even when it is doing that, right, the right of the citizen in question must be respected.
Right.
Yes.
Of course, somebody has said in the past, a historical figure, that it's better to let 99 criminals go free than to jail one innocent person. Before we go for the break, Mr. Kihika, the 365 days or 360 days,
360 days, yes,
is, which mandated for suspect reasons to be detained before they receive given bail, does it apply to terrorists as well?
Yes, it does actually apply to
so if 1 year later the people who bombed these two clubs at Chadondo and Kavalagala, if they are not convicted by then, if the trial has not begun, they can be set free.
They can be set
and
free.
They can fly out of the country
on terms and conditions. Set by the court. Those terms, of course, would be in the discretion of the court to decide, considering the circumstances, what terms and conditions it would have to give. Because the bail, one has got to understand what is bail.
Yes.
Bail is
a temporary release.
Is a temporary release by the court in exchange for recognizances from the person that is facing the trial that he's going to be attending court on the particular day.
So the judge can cancel it and can reject it.
And the judge can. That's why they said that the court has got discretion. Yes.
This is Spectrum. We're going for a break. We'll be back. We'll talk about the referendum. The president said, if you agree with me, the people elected me.
Thank you for coming to the executive suite, madam. My name is Richard, your executive banker, and I'm here to handle all your banking needs.
Oh, really? Thank you. I noticed you.
We do not.
Oh, wow. You even know my name?
But of course, madam. Today we are offering you a current account with a Gold Visa debit card, home loan with attractive rates, Gold Visa credit cards, and unsecured personal loan.
All that for me?
Yes. In addition, we can offer you internet banking so that you can access our services from anywhere, even your home.
Oh, this is too much. What else will you give me now? Chai?
Experience executive banking at Stanbic Bank.
Excuse me, madam. Your cup of chai?
Ask about at your nearest branch or visit our executive banking suite in Nakasero Towers, Forest Mall at Lugogo, Garden City, Ntinda, Makerere, Mbarara, Mukono, Mbale, Lira, and Stanbic. Moving forward.
Hi, I've got just 30 seconds. List all the destinations in Africa served by Kenya Airways out of Nairobi.
Abidjan, Accra, Addis Ababa. is never going to make it. Kenya Airways covers 70% of all destinations in Africa alone and several more worldwide. If you're starting from Uganda, there is no rush because Kenya Airways operates the most frequencies every day from Entebbe to the hub in Nairobi. So you can pick up any of these connections at your own convenience.
Johannesburg, Kigali, Kinshasa, Lagos, Lilongwe, Lusaka, Lubumbashi.
Kenya Airways, the pride of Africa.
Several times up. Malabo, Mauritius, Mombasa.
The art of crafting a jewel, as experienced by the brewmaster.
Under the exacting international standards at Now Breweries, he uses only the finest, most carefully selected grains of roasted crystal malt and sets in motion the delicate process of releasing their full roast. The result is a world-class beer with a fresher aroma, a richer golden color, and a maltier taste. It isn't every day that you find yourself with a precious jewel in your hand and the distinction of having produced it as well.
Nile Gold Crystal Malt Lager, beyond an ordinary malt.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90 is brought to you by Stanbic Bank.
Welcome back. On Spectrum tonight, what is the position of the Ugandan Law Society on some key emerging issues in the justice, law and order sector? Our guests tonight, Mr. Oscar Kihika, senior advocate and former president of the Uganda Law Society. He's representing the incumbent president who could not come tonight. We also expect to be joined by Miss Grace Babihuga. She's on her way to this place. She's an advocate and executive director of the Ugandan Law Society. You two will be able to call in later. Let's talk about the referendum. The president has said if the parliament cannot give it to him, he'll take it to a referendum. Is that justified? It costs a lot of money to hold a referendum. It's a mini election.
By the way, I'm not even sure. You see, the proposal that he's making seeks to amend the constitution. Okay, and this is a topic which I once wrote on long ago when there was the heated debate about extension of I think at the time when there was the debate about
removal of term limits,
which
is the only amendment of the constitution that we have had.
Yes, and the procedure that is laid down is actually that it's not done by referendum. It's actually done by Parliament. That's what.
Yes.
That is what I think it is in Article 271 or 272. I stand to be corrected, but and I remember
269.
I think 269. I think probably it's 269. So it will not even be proper. I think that the procedure will not be proper because that's what the Constitution states. That if it's going to be by, if you're going to amend the Constitution, it has to be under that specific article. So going by referendum, I don't think would be the right thing to do, to amend that particular Constitution. But again, we'll have to look at that properly. But again, that is trying to popularize, I suppose, what would otherwise be, or what is an unpopular proposal, assuming that it doesn't sail through in Parliament, and then you let it down to the people, and then I'm not such a fan of
referenda
incidents on certain particular issues.
Okay.
Because if it is not properly articulated to the population,
you could get a terrible thing.
Absolutely.
They could vote something bad without knowing
without actually knowing what they're doing, and at the end of the day they find themselves shackled. And the costs already, as it is, the cost that it's going to take to have that exercise.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. We are already
an election on its own.
It is. We are already suffering from the effects of
the last election.
The last election already.
I'm one of those people who think we should have an election maybe after 10 years. It's too expensive. We can't hardly afford it.
Yes, and you can see the effect, the economic effect.
We're still struggling to recover from that.
So, I mean, even from an economic point of view, let alone political, I personally, that's not my view of the Law Society. I'm expressing my personal view on this one here.
All right.
Okay. But I would not be in for that, because at the end of the day, even if let us assume that the people of Uganda do support this proposal, see, it still goes against the tenets of the rule of law.
So even if the people assented to it, the world would look at us in a bad light.
Well, let me tell you something. When you go against some of the principles of the rule of law, at the end of the day, it's the society that is actually going to suffer. Okay, and the way elections and referendums are done, particularly in these parts of the world, you know, first and foremost, there will be a huge debate about are the people really going to. You first, the procedure is you're supposed to frame a question.
Yes, one question.
One question.
Campaign for it.
Then campaign.
Allow people to campaign.
Allow people for and against it.
Right.
The amount of time and money is going to take to educate the people about what this question is.
You don't want to think about that.
Okay? Let alone even them understanding the principle behind that. I'm not meaning to denigrate the.
No, you've really. I mean,
but I think you see what I'm talking
absolutely.
about. Yeah,
absolutely. We've just been joined by Miss Grace Babihuga. You came in the thick of it. She's an advocate and executive director of the Uganda Law Society. You're most welcome, Madame Babihuga.
Thank you. Good evening, listeners.
Give us your feel about some of these things. The right to bail. The president has packaged all these things together. Some of them look really, really bad, and one of them looks a bit innocent. Is it good? Is it a good thing to have 6 months detained? Someone detained for 6 months because they're suspect on some of these counts. Do you agree with it?
Definitely not. I stand by the Uganda Law Society position and the position of Uganda, where it has signed up to international treaties, and the right to bail should be maintained as it is. It's not a good idea.
Not even if they take it to the referendum, the people might decide. The people are supreme.
Even if the people are supreme, we have ratified international treaties, and we need to stand by those treaties as well. We not only have a duty to our people, but we also have a duty to the international community, people who look at us and see that Uganda is a democratic country, or Uganda is standing by international rules and abiding by those guidelines. I think that shouldn't be done.
So even though we are a sovereign country, independent, we got independence 50 years ago, we'll be marking 50 years next year, these people should not tell us what to do. We know what is good for us. We go for referendum. People say maybe increase it to 9 months or something like that. You still think it's wrong?
We would advise the people and pray that the people would make the right decision in this instance.
That is, if they understand it might be too complex for them. Let's move forward to something else. Dr. Kizza Besigye he's one of those people believe that he has been persecuted under the law. Looking at the things that have been happening, is it possible, or do you see a tide of persecution of some of these people, including this demand by the president?
Of course, this would be. The Dr. Kizza Besigye case has been in the limelight quite a bit, and would think that it could be targeted towards that, but it's not usually there.
You think it's persecution? It could be interpreted as persecution?
It could be interpreted as persecution, but if the government came out and said there are instances where, for example, the rioters were causing mayhem, then they would say that this was not in particular against one person, but it was also trying to maintain peace and order. However, that still does not change the issue of bail.
All right. Let's talk about something else. President Museveni spoke about his former vice president. Most likely they are still friends. They've just separated in cabinet. He said this man is innocent. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? And the matter is still before a court of law.
This statement is raising quite a number of concerns in the country. People are beginning to ask whether the president has anything he's communicating in his statement. The president can speak as he wishes. However, that should not undermine the independence of the judiciary, and sometimes it is not advisable under the sub judice law to make a pronouncement over a matter that's before court. It may also be interpreted and taken as some form of communication, and also could be a form of undermining the IGG. I feel that maybe these statements should not be made or maybe the media should not sensationalize them.
Oh, there's no sensationalizing. The report what the man said.
Yeah, if I might come in on this one, you see, it's very the rules relating to sub judice are very. As we contrast in their technical abilities and the sense of justice to be impartial. The point of the fact is that they should not be subject to whatever kind
influence.
Okay.
No, they shouldn't.
Okay. Whether by discussion in the papers about and conjecture about whether or not a particular individual is innocent or guilty. Now, it becomes even more so critical when you have none less than the head of state,
the head of one of the three arms, the head of the executive.
Yes, the head of the executive, coming out and expressing his opinion and saying, this gentleman that is before the courts of law there's no case against him. All right. What message are you sending? Because he's the head of state. All right. So basically, it can be interpreted that he's actually sending a message to the judiciary that don't convict this man. So